get your PVCs in readiness to vote in the election. Today on the program, ASUU threatens nationwide strike over payment of half salaries. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adekunle Yusuf. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. The wave of the ban of tricycle, popularly known as Adatu Sau, that Kano, has finally been banned in the states. In a statement by the public relations officer of Kano Traffic Agency, Karota, Nabilus Issa, the Kano state government has banned tricycle riders from operating on some major parts of the metropolis within the states. According to Karota, the order was decided after the Kano state government had provided another means of transportation that will be used to convey the passengers on prohibited roads. The ban will effect from Wednesday, November 30th, 2022, from tomorrow. From tomorrow. You know, Kano is just like Lagos. Yes. When you want to take, a decision like this, government will have to wait. They have to go back and forth, look at the pros and cons, look at the job losses, look at the alternative, look at what's...
And political implications.
Yes, implication. For Governor Abdullahi Naduje to take the bull by its own right now to want to ban this keke in Kano.
Yes, you may not be...
Outright ban.
You may not be a fan of Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, but when you watch him very well, it's one leader who knows how to take decisions and when to do it. When he stopped the bikes, Okada, there was no problem. Let's go on tricycles. Then, now, what he's doing, even long before he ever, alerted the tricycle operators, he had purchased more than enough vehicles. Believe me, it is not throughout Kano State. It is just in the metropolis and a few roads. And he has had enough vehicles, BRT buses, solid, brand new buses, ready to, take people around those areas. And after that, what's the next? The next thing is...
buses, would this cater for demand? Would this substitute? What will those drivers be doing?
What with the tricycle drivers?
Yes.
They can go to the interlands where tricycles, can still operate. It's not throughout Kano State. We need to do. And believe me, that agency that announced is the equivalent of our own, LASMA. You get my point? So when you look at it critically, it is not throughout Kano State. It is within the metropolis, and all the major roads were listed that this road you cannot operate this. So what that means is that they want to modernize public transportation in Kano State. And when you look at the methodic approach, Governor Ganduje has employed, you won't have any reason other than to clap for him, because in some other places, they will ban first, then they will now be thinking about when are we going to provide alternatives. Nobody can complain about alternatives, because long before this, directive, the alternative was ready. You get my point? That's the difference. And anybody who believes that it will not create any uproar. And that is why the man was man enough to take this decision. In this season of politics, there are so many things you have to be very careful in doing. In this one, it's comfortable taking this decision.
Julie, this is a kind of replica of what happened in Lagos. Yes. At the point in time, we had these buses, yellow buses in Lagos, Danfo, at the point in time, it was littered all over the states and everything. I'm talking in terms of aesthetics, it wasn't even good enough. But when they came up with BRT, we didn't know that BRT was going to be this successful. But today, BRT is a success story.
Yes, and it is because it's such a success story in Lagos that Kano State has also looked at it. Karota is the equivalent of LASMA in Kano, although they are far more aggressive in the way they do their work than LASMA in Lagos. And the governor told me the last time I interviewed him that they were expecting vehicles to kickstart their BRT scheme. Because I asked, I moved around, I saw the places that they had marked.
Dedicated lanes?
Yes, for BRT. So I wondered, I said, when will you eventually start this? And they told me that the buses were coming. So now they've received 100 luxury buses. They can kickstart the program. More buses, yes, more buses will come, more lanes will be dedicated to the scheme. So this is early days, but this is a governor who is not afraid to take big decisions. Already, commercial tricyclists have been told you can't operate beyond 10 p.m. Kano, we never thought that Okada could be banned in Kano because Kano had far more Okadas than any state in Nigeria.
Yes, yes.
But they banned Okada at the height of the Boko Haram insurgency. They banned Okada, and nothing happened. And then now they've gone ahead to say, okay, even tricycles, you can't operate beyond 10 p.m. because they were now using it to commit crimes. Gradually, the way we are seeing it, what Lagos has been slow in doing, that is in giving Lagos the true face of a smart city, of a mega city. Kano has begun to do it.
Leading.
Kano has begun to do it. Because Kano and Lagos, they are very similar in terms of population, in terms of commerce and all that. So Kano is already showing itself to be a leader. And that's what we are seeing.
Looking at the level of unemployment and poverty level in the country,
yes,
to implement this kind of scheme, what would those keke people, what would be an alternative? Because I'm aware that some of these downfall drivers, they were co-opted as BRT drivers into that scheme so that they don't lose their job outrightly. I don't know, maybe Kano State will be doing something like this.
Kano will certainly do it, and then you know, these small cars, those cars would also go to some of these, yes, you know, then no one is saying, oh, don't operate anywhere in Kano State. They can move into the hinterland. Actually, Okadas that are now a menace and a disgrace to this state are not supposed to operate in the metropolis. They're supposed to operate in the hinterland, where roads are bad, where you can't easily move around. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. But you now have Okada riding, people riding Okada on Third Mainland Bridge and other places that you shouldn't see them. So gradually, the tricycle riders in Kano will move into the hinterland to allow the beautiful cars to begin to operate in places in the metropolis where they used to go to. So that is the...
You know, this governor, when you look at him very well, when it comes to proactive leadership, you just fall in love with Governor Ganduje. You remember the cattle rustling before they became a national thing. I think Kano was one of the, you know, the epic center at the time. See where he handled the matter and he nipped deep in the bud.
He successfully had what you call amnesty for cattle rustlers. They used to populate the forest of Kano. His own amnesty program was very successful. And he also was first to start this whole idea of ranching. Came out and built a ranch in Dansoshia, where they can all come together and instead of moving around. He said, why should we? That's a former cattle rearer telling us that it makes no sense to be going from north to south.
Except that he's not a noise maker. He doesn't, you know, make a noise about his achievement. He's doing a lot in terms of, you know.
All right. Now, the Delta commander Operation Hardened Major General Christopher Musa has said that 886 Hardened Boko Haram detainees are currently awaiting transfer to Giwa in Kinji, Niger, for prosecution, while 332 detainees were transferred to Operation Safe Corridor in Gombe State on September 8, 2022 for de-radicalization, demobilization, and rehabilitation as DDDR program of the federal government. General Musa, who was represented by the acting theater intelligence coordinator, Colonel Obina Azuike, disclosed while giving highlights of surrendered Boko Haram terrorists, stating that currently the Giwa Center has a total of 1,893 suspects in custody. Julie, a lot of people will tell the federal government to approach this so-called repentant Boko Haram terrorists with care. That's, you know, now we have a handful. They've caused destruction, they've done wreaked havoc, and they are saying, okay, we're tired. We want to be reintegrated into the community of normal human beings, but we have to be careful.
Yes, and even where we keep them, we have to be careful where we keep them, because it is clear that some of them do not deserve to live with our people. But from the list reeled out, it is clear that a good number of these guys are women and children. Out of the 82,237 terrorists and their families, 41,161 are children. That's already half of the 82,000. They are children. 24,499 are women. So then 16,577 are active male fighters. Active male fighters. Those are the people that need the radicalization. Because look, the IG was speaking the other day, and he told us that a lot of the girls that were rescued from the terrorist camps are asking to be allowed to go back.
Stockholm syndrome.
To meet their lovers, because for some of those girls, those young girls, students of the school in Chibok, where they picked these guys, they were 16, 15, 16.
And it's been how many years now?
Those
mothers,
good-for-nothing Boko Haram guys were the ones who exposed some of them even to sex for the first time in their lives.
Definitely.
Then even love in the real sense. They didn't know about love. They introduced them to what it means to be in love. So these were terrorist commanders, and being terrorist commanders, they had access to what the ordinary fighters did not have access to. So they had what they could use to make their own women more comfortable, more feel happier. So for that reason, that bond began to grow. So if those guys strayed into the hands of the military, they come to their aid, they try to help them, but a good number of them actually believe that they have to go back there, because even when they go back to their communities, the people look at them, they stigmatize them, they look at them like people who are not one of us, you understand? So the society would rather look at them like, oh, wife of terrorists, this and that, and we'll be careful even in relating with them. It's that kind of attitude that will make some of them feel like going back to where they believe they will even be better received. So remember what the Shehu of Ebonyi, the academy, said, that look, these guys destroyed our communities, killed our people in cold blood. How do we forgive them easily? It's not easy. So this whole thing, people, these many fighters surrendering, a good number of them is because they didn't want to go and march with the other faction, you know. So it's not as if it came from their hearts to surrender. And now the state has to take care of them. The state has to. Now look at the number of terrorists that we are putting, that we want to put on trial. In my view, they are not enough. A good number of these guys have committed crimes for which they should be in jail. You pluck someone from his school, and then you turn them to sex slaves, put them in the family way. Marriage by force was what you did. You should be in jail.
Some of them don't deserve to live.
Yes, you should actually be in jail. But now we'll be feeding them. I mean, 16,577 active fighters. We'll be feeding them. The attention that we are giving them, the people that are their victims, they don't get that kind of attention. They are in IDP camps hoping that somebody will come with food that they can eat on a given day. Whereas these ones, they are guaranteed. There are 3 square meals. We even sew uniform, sew dresses for them. It's so terrible.
I don't know, so we're not ruling out the fact that some of these guys might even be spies. That, that Boko Haram will, pretend to have repented and go through the process of the radicalization. We've seen them often and often to just check on what we are doing. Infiltrators.
We can't rule it out. And there's not enough transparency in the whole thing. And when you take a look at it critically, why are we so much happy talking about the radicalization, that they've repented, they have this, they have that? Each time I hear, believe me, it's not easy for criminals to leave what they do and become, clean. It's very difficult. Many of these people you call Boko Haram, they don't do it with ordinary highs. Some of them, most times, they're on drugs. You get my point? And to wean yourself off drugs is a very difficult thing. Now we are talking about people who are also criminals, so matched together. If you are on drugs, you are not a criminal. To separate you, to wean you off drugs is a very difficult thing, whether you do it medically or you do it in the spiritual way some people do it. Now, with crime, but our military is saying, oh, some people are this and this. Out of according to them, over 82,000 people who willingly surrendered, to the Nigerian, security services. And you are telling me 1,000 will go for prosecution. I believe all of them should have gone for prosecution and let our judicial process interrogate each and every one of them to determine who should be punished, who should be pardoned, because with what I've seen so far, we have not made headway in our so-called radicalization program. Each time we talked about it, how many people have been jailed? When you compare the atrocities that have taken place over the years, how many communities have been thoroughly destroyed, how many homes have been thoroughly destroyed, how many lives we have lost, how many, so many irreparable damages. You get my point? Now, some people are talking about, so some people have repented, you have each time I hear things like this, it makes my mind turn as if, are we really okay?
Generally, looking at the strategy so far that has been deployed and the information we're getting from the theater of war, we're seeing that, look, we can see the effects of these people laying down their arms.
The effect of Boko Haram being crushed, all these ones, a good number of them are not active fighters. That one is established from even their own statistics. You know that not all of them, there are some of them very old men. look at this. This video was shot somewhere in Bama in Borno State. You can see children, women, so many of them, and some elderly people. A good number of the active fighters are still there, still causing problems. So we are seeing the effect of Boko Haram being crushed by two Kano fighter bombers, Kano bombers. We are seeing the effect of the drones. The drones are doing a massive job in that area. And our surface troops, led by General Christopher Musa, is doing an unprecedented job in that area. We are making progress. The army is safer now. The idea of simply attacking army bases is looking like something that they will not try again, because we are dealing decisively with them. So those of them who don't want to die, they know that they have a choice, and that choice is to lay down their arms. Some of them in the Tumbus, for example, it's difficult for them to come out, unlike those in the Sambisa. Those in the islands of Lake Chad, it's a lot difficult for them to surrender because the outlets to escape are not as numerous as the other places.
All right. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please stay with us.
You and your hair go through a lot. The heat, rain, chaos. It's a non-stop war against total breakdown. But just like you, your hair can stay strong no matter what. Mega Growth Break-Free Daily Leave-In Strengthener for all hair types is infused with a unique blend of natural oils and conditioning proteins that helps protect your hair. Mega Growth Break-Free, your daily defense against breakage.
The total radar coverage of the Nigerian airspace was initiated with the aim of deploying state-of-the-art radar systems that will effectively and efficiently cover the entire Nigerian airspace, so that we see whoever is flying around Nigerian airspace. So it's a very important project. There are 2 area radar control centers in Lagos and Kano to cover the entire country. Then the 4 terminal approach radar in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt. Then the Eurocat simulator system in Lagos. The primary surveillance radar in Lagos, Kano, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. And 9 monopost secondary surveillance radar. So expandable air traffic management capability, provide safety nets such as danger areas infringement warnings, short-term conflict alerts, medium-term conflict, blah, 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 and all down there.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Everyone has a Chivita this season. What's your Chivita?
This place will have a recreational park that is designed to make life comfortable. Wellness is key, and we're putting this place that will help people to, keep up on their health where they go burn their fat. And the timeline for this project is estimated to start and end within 18 months. But however, it starts in phases. The first phase is to get this place secured and gated, which is done.
Mowe is a growing city, and if you are very, very smart, then you realize that the Lagos-Ibadan expressway that is being developed is going to throw Mowe open furthermore.
People that have gone ahead of us have great investment here, and even way in the 90s, even before we thought about coming here. So I think it's a good idea, Iderade coming here.
Thank you for staying with us. To be or not to be, the presidential candidates of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has finally quietened speculation that made the round on social media of his intention to relocate the FCT from Abuja back to Lagos if given the presidential mandate. Tinubu says he has no plan to relocate the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, to Lagos if elected in next year's poll. Meanwhile, Director of Media and Publicity of the APC Campaign Council, Bayo Ononuga, described the speculation as falsehood and a campaign of calumny against Tinubu by the opposition. Jide, what's this for? I thought FCT is good. I thought the still just Lagos is so is densely populated. Lagos is not even, cannot even host. So why do you want to bring us back?
Nobody said so. Nobody said this bringing us back. People will contrive all kinds of stories. No, just to. People are looking for how to make our friends in the north suddenly hate Asiwaju. So they will confect this kind of stories. They will come up with this kind of stories. They'll say, oh, if you give Tinubu your vote, he's going to relocate the federal capital back to Lagos, and other ridiculous suggestions.
Doesn't make sense.
You know, things that do not make sense at all. It's the political season, but the extent of bad blood that I'm seeing this year, I've never seen it since I started following politics in our country. Using the social media, lying against people, the intolerance to contrary opinion, everything has reached unprecedented levels. So, how can you say that Tinubu wants to relocate the capital? Did he say that it's not comfortable in Abuja? In fact, these days it's in Abuja far more than he is in Lagos. Did he say the air there or the heat is too much for him? No, there's no time that he even contemplated it. And already nobody can relocate the capital of our country back to Lagos. It's a good thing that the capital is in the center of our country. That's the way it should be. Yes. And Abuja is a Nigerian pride. It's one of the most beautiful cities in Africa.
I live in Lagos and I know what we go through on a daily basis. You can't compare it.
No, the people should not. You know how you're some capitals of the world, some countries, their capitals are just as chaotic as Lagos. You know, some Asian countries, what they are going through.
Even New York.
In terms of the traffic gridlock,
some part of New York,
and all that.
Manhattan,
so
Queens,
that's not even
like
that's not the point. But the point is, why lie that somebody is going to do this when he never told you that he's going to do it? Where did you read that he's going to do it? It's all bad blood and unnecessary falsehood, barefaced falsehood being peddled by some people just to destroy the Tinubu candidacy. What is best is for people to focus on their preferred candidate and push the agenda of your candidate. Should let people know why your candidate is the best, not resort to barefaced falsehood, you know, as a way of getting advantage over anyone.
Where is this coming from?
From what I can see, I think the opposition, comes, and believe me, you can't limit it to one or two parties, but the major opposition parties, maybe who are afraid of getting jittery over the rising profile of Asiwaju. I think they must have seen that Asiwaju is making inroads to certain places, especially in the northwest. You get my point? What they've seen so far, and that's as Jide said, this is the season of politics, and politicians are never ashamed of saying anything as long as it can, work for them. But let's talk about the reality. Why was the federal government moved to Abuja? You hear from the man that conceived the ideas, that General Gawan, that the idea was to secure Nigeria's, territorial integrity, and that was what informed the decision in 1974.
No, I thought it was Murtala Mohammed.
No. He spoke last year when they were doing anniversary. He said the idea was territorial integrity of Nigeria. They now said, okay, after all security studies, everything, what can we do? So he said that there was a change of government, and that today is a happy man that the government that toppled him, went on with the idea, which was Murtala Mohammed.
You set up a panel.
You understand me? That now went, and eventually it became a reality. You see, I don't know. Actually, will not be the first, Yoruba man that will be voted, as president, even wins in February. It will not be the first Southerner to win the presidency. Olusegun Obasanjo was there 8 years. If Southerners want FCT back in the South, why didn't he, talk about it? Jonathan was there. He didn't tinker with that idea. And let me tell you, it is backed by law. It is not just mere proclamation. Nobody can wake up, whether ASUU, whether anybody, and say, oh, I want to bring something. The process is just too cumbersome for anybody to even achieve. It's impossible. It's something that I can never achieve, even if you want to. That's
when this thing happened, don't forget, when this thing happened was just through military free acts. Somebody survived the coup and just said, oh, we are shifting bees.
They had been building.
They
had been building, yes. Okay. They had been building. The process was initiated. The actual process, the actual execution was by Murtala Mohammed. You know, an idea can be in the works without any. So, and as he said, all kinds of considerations. You can't have, you have a country, you have a federal capital at the coast, at one of the main gateways to your country. In the event of military or war, it is easy to just overrun your country, both by air and by the waterways. So it was a good idea to say, okay, let's make it difficult. We move to the heart of the country, the center of the country, and that was what we did. And the first person who actually administered Abuja was actually a Yoruba man, you know. So the thing is, we are very, very
gullible
in our country. Especially when people are desperate, they say all kinds of things, you know. In the Northwest, some people are desperate. They think that ASUU will do well in the Northwest. Some of the worst form of campaign of calumny that I've seen in this election were actually from the Northwest. People shooting videos, accusing Tinubu. Some even accuse him of killing Hausa Fulanis, using OPC to kill Hausa Fulanis. You know, things that did not really happen. So I was going to say that, okay, Justice Akintola Aguda was the one who was mandated to advise if Lagos should retain its twin role of being both a state and federal capital. Your guess is as good as mine. Akintola Aguda provided a fitting advice, and everyone, it was recommended that the capital should go to Abuja, and you see that even Aguda was honored on account of that, you know, in terms of what was named after him in the FCT. So this kind of thing will continue. We are still going to hear that he plans to kill everybody from the Northwest when he becomes president.
All right, moving on now. It appears there is another storm brewing between the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, and the federal government over incomplete payment of salaries. Members of the union have warned the federal government against fresh crisis in the universities that will surpass previous ones. Speaking at a media party in Ilorin, former ASUU chairman of the University and council member of the union, Professor Rashid Adeoye, and secretary of the union in the university, Dr. Latunji Abdulganiyu, described half salaries paid by the government unacceptable, saying it to be resisted.
Are hereby sensitized and put on notice again that fresh crisis, which would surpass all previous ones, is looming again in Nigeria universities. As our members cannot and would not continue to do free work that will not be properly remunerated.
Tell Mr. President to pay us. Tell us that we are not casuals, and that we are intellectuals, and that we train people, and that we are teachers, and that we can move mountains. We are tired of strike. They should not allow us to go back to strike again. And the only way we won't go back is for federal government of Nigeria to pay us what we actually deserve.
Julie, we shouldn't be talking about going back, to this industrial action again. We shouldn't be talking about that at all, because it's going to be counterproductive and it will kill that sector.
I don't think ASUU wants to go on a fresh strike. The body language of the ASUU leadership is clear. They don't want a strike. A strike at this time will be very unpopular, will be very unconscious. They don't want a strike. All that I can see they are doing is trying to get the people in government, especially the labor minister, who appears to be the champion of let them not pay ASUU their salaries. He thinks that by championing that position, he's looking like a hero, but he's not a hero. So what they are trying to do is just get them to realize that this is wrong. In the academic sector, you are going to be called for examination when you have completed your course of study for a semester. Now, where they stopped, they have to start from there and complete
the course outline.
Yes, you complete that course outline, then people will go and do their exams. It then means that for the period that they have to work to cover that period that they were on strike, and when they work to cover that period, after that a new academic calendar can start. You get the point. So it's not as if that they are not going to make up for lost time. In the past, when students went on strike, maybe they burnt their school and they locked the school. They just come, they will say, come and do exam. But I remember that during the time of Jubril Aminu, he said, henceforth, when you go on strike, you are not coming back simply to write your exam. You will complete the whole of your that semester. You complete it before you can. So if you started a strike at the beginning of the semester, you have maybe 3 months to complete that semester. By the time you come back, you will be in school for that length of time. When you are through with it, you will then write exams. That is the way it still is now. So which means that for that period that they didn't even teach the students, they are going to make up for that period by teaching them during this time. It is when they are through with it that the students will write their exams and people can go on holiday, as the case may be. If there's no need for, maybe it's a short one, they'll bring them back quickly so that they can start the new session. So that's the way it is done. That's why sometimes you see that, okay, these students, they've lost a year. Nobody will simply say, come back and write exam. No, it no longer happens again. So it means that you cannot even say that they have not worked for that you will not pay them
the number of
because those days that they were on strike, not only were some of them involved in other things, some of them were even supervising postgraduate students, doctoral students. Some were attending conferences. You know, when we go to Unilag, even during that strike, you see the place, you see a lot of life in that place, because universities are centers of excellence. They are not places where the only thing that the academics do is simply to teach. I mean, it's illiterate to reason like it, to think that, okay, all that these lecturers do is simply to teach. They are involved in research. They are writing papers to be published in foreign journals and the rest of that. So you can't even, how do you become a professor, for example? You don't become a professor simply by teaching people in the classrooms. It is based on your contribution to the body of knowledge by way of the papers that you do, that you write, that are published by foreign journals and all that. So they are making up for, even for lost time. So it makes sense to pay military regime.
All right, we can take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Stay with us.
Everyone has a Chivita this season. What's your Chivita? How important is comfort to you? Is it as important as the day you discovered that self-love is the start of good life? Here is a comfort that your self-love, Iderade. Transit into your serenity. The opportunity awaits you on this peace of mind as you pay in installments of 24 months with initial deposit of 500,000 naira. Serenity at its finest.
Good afternoon, sir. Please, I need a room to rent in your house.
Okay, where do you work?
I'm the nurse.
That means you won't owe me rent. Congratulations, young lady. You have yourself a house.
Well, thank you so much, sir. So, how much is the rent?
90,000 naira. Oh, but wait, where are you from?
I am from Akamata.
Akamata what? Akamata in my house? If you know how you got into my house, please get out right away. My spirit and that of Akamata people don't have anything to do together.
Sir, what have I done?
Your people from Akamata are known for bad things. That is what they represent, and you can't live in my house. Just get out right away.
What's going on?
Leave my house, young lady. Yes, our differences extend to our languages, culture, food, and even belief. But we are bound together by the cord of love. With one heart, with one voice, we will make Nigeria a hub of greatness, a place where the people live as one.
This message is brought to you from the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the UK government.
Back. Adekunle, now looking at it, it's as if the interests of this sector, the federal government should just consider how we got here and just shift their ground a little bit.
I think, when people blame the university lecturers, they are insensitive, they are this, they are that. By now, I think the whole world will have seen it now. Who has the interest of the students at heart? Why has the federal government not paid? These people have obeyed. I discussed with some professors, last week. They said ASUU decided to go back to classrooms because they didn't want to portray their union as lawless, that the court has pronounced that go back. that they went back, many of them went back to the classrooms on empty stomachs. But they did because they want to see, they want the whole world to see them as law-abiding. That since that time, what has the government done? They respected the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Gbajabi Amila. They appreciated his intervention. And they deferred to him. All of these things put together. But now, has there been any positive development from the side of the government? You get me? You see, what happens in the university when people think, sorry to use that word ignorantly, about university and limit it to teaching? No, it's just the smallest part of the work of an academic. What you do research and you do community service. Those two things go on permanently, whether you are on holiday, you are not on holiday, whether you are on this. So it's the students that go on, it's teaching that goes on holiday. Nothing goes on holiday in the lives of an academic when it comes to teaching, when it comes to research and community service. Throughout that strike, I know of university professors, University of Lagos, that went on field research that I was part of. I know even people from here, do community research and all that I was a part of. You get my point? And that was during the strike. And many people still believe that the lecturers were just sitting at home, they were idle, they were not doing anything, so they were not supposed to be paid. Please, Dr. Ngigi, I don't know why this government, decides to be listening to Dr. Ngigi to have his final say on this. These people deserve to collect their money so that there can be peace. From what I heard from the professors, they said they will be doing this to alert Nigerians chapter by chapter everywhere, and that by the time they embark on the next strike, it will be the type that Nigeria has never witnessed in it. This
is the rest of Ilorin now. They want to do it chapter by chapter.
They've been doing that chapter by chapter.
How many days to the next election? We just don't get it.
It's even, as I've said before, it's even capable of hurting the chances of the APC. But I'm not surprised. Even within the party, there are people who don't want Asiwaju Bola Ahmed to win.
Okay, you mean even the party is undermining itself?
Within the party, there are people who don't want him to win. So some of those individuals will even take actions. Fifth columnist now. Did it not happen to Buhari himself? When they went to scatter Awolowo's library and all that. And Buhari, when we interviewed him, that famous interview in 1993, he said he did not send anybody. They did not even inform him they went there. It wasn't the president that gave the directive. You go to the home of someone like Baba Awolowo to go and scatter his library just to give Buhari a bad name so that by the time you move against him, he will not have sympathy. Haba, this kind of fifth columnist, they've been doing this for so long. And the president was a victim. At least he told us when we interviewed him at the news magazine at that time that he did not sanction it. He didn't even know they were going there. But even when they had their own agenda, different to the agenda of the government that they were serving. So these things happen. There's no way, in the last Osun election, a lot of young people voted, and they voted against APC. There's no way that any strike can happen at this time now, that it will not potentially damage.
Of course, the ruling party's chances, it will affect it.
So why people can't think and say, no, not this time, not this time. There are even fights that you postpone because the time is not right for that kind of fight. You postpone it.
And in this fight, the government has won. Because what you wanted has happened. You want these people to go back to the classroom. It has happened. Pay them and let's have peace. By not paying them, it means the government,
they are even citing the Industrial Court landmark judgment of 2020, which says that tenured staff cannot be paid pro rata. Nigeria's research institutions, they've been on strike for more than 18 months. Ngige can't claim that it's not aware, and they are paying them. So this is a personal thing. You are paying them, the research institutions who have been on strike for more than 18 months.
So
even the National Assembly said, why are you still on strike for that long?
So I should assume the APC, some fifth columns are undermining the party's chances.
Yes.
Deliberately.
APC has people, in this dispensation, did we not see somebody work against his own party in a governorship election? So people work against the APC and they claim they're APC member.
Because if any strike happens today, it's going to be bad.
Bad for the party.
Yes.
Yes.
Adekunle Yusuf, thank you for your contribution. And we hope that ASUU will not go on strike.
Who can cause the strike to happen? They need to talk to
They are
them.
in government.
Okay, and that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the pre-broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. And don't forget to join us this Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Osubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Black Friday is here, and ShopX TV is proud to bring you a very special offer. We all know the benefits that come from eating a healthy, balanced diet, but sometimes that's not always easy. Until now, ShopX TV is proud to introduce the NutriBullet,